All right, so let's have a quick discussion about AI slop. You've seen it, I have seen it, and it's only getting worse. Fun fact, majority of the internet right now in 2025 um, are bots. All right, now that's not to say AI slop is all bots, but the way this is going is that a lot of the internet will now be consumed by AI slop, by people generating a bunch of AI content, whether that's real or fake. Majority of this is just fake at the moment. Um, and it's actually getting really, really crazy because maybe you've seen some things that look real. Obviously, you can probably tell we're not there just yet. Maybe it's the voice that seemed to be a little off. But as we move forward, a few months out, things are going to start looking very, very realistic. And you're going to have a tough time, even the people that are, even myself, right? And I consider myself within, you know, that knows what looks good and what doesn't look good and what looks real, and it's becoming more difficult, right? So, for instance, in the e-com space, right now, a lot of people are using VL3 and other tools to produce content, whether that's product reviews, whether that's product demonstrations. A lot of this stuff now is not actually being used by UGC creators. Rather, it's just by these models producing, content that a lot of these people would create, and that's the scary part because not only are you commoditizing, or not only are you basically eating away at creators and taking their income and their fees, um, right? You are now commoditizing this type of content. Before it was about brand, it still is, before it was about producing this type of content for companies, brands, X, Y, and Z within this space, and now all you have to do is for a few dollars, pull up a model, and it can actually spit out the same or even better content. And that's the scary part. And I mean, we've only been in this for a little while, but AI slop will eventually start taking over. And so now it's becoming a question of, will the big platforms, will X, will YouTube, will Instagram, Facebook continue to allow this type of content to be thrown on their platforms, because now the actual monetization method is drastically changing. Um, Now you do have to realize that a lot of these big social media companies, they're profit first. And so if it's easier to produce content and put it on the actual platforms for people, right? And so again, the reason behind it would be I would just spin up various videos or AI slop and potentially get views, aka me making potentially more money. And if that is the case, if there is that correlation, because right now it's attention, and if I can gain more attention by putting out mass content rapidly, then I'm going to get more paid. I'm going to get paid more. And what does that mean? That means YouTube or all these social platforms are going to start incentivizing this type of behavior. So what are you going to see? You're going to see, basically, you're going to have a pie. And currently the pie is, let's just call it creators, and all these other market participants, right? What's going to happen is that pie is going to expand with a lot of AI slop. Now, our slice isn't going to get any bigger, right? But the pie is going to widen. So it's actually going to dilute our efforts because now there's just more competition within the marketplace. And if you're telling me that someone's going to sit for half hour, an hour to produce content, and then you're going to have someone else just, in their room or in their office use a model and spin up variations, well, who's going to win, right? And so the problem is are these big social media companies going to start incentivizing this type of behavior because ultimately it is benefiting their, it's benefiting them. They're making more money. So it's an interesting time, and ultimately you're just not going to know what's real or fake, right? That's why there's a great debate on whether this should become, eventually there's a great use case for the blockchain, right? To have these assets validated on a specific system so that you actually do know that a lot of this is real or fake. And we're going to have to get there. Or there's going to be some type of verification process where you actually have to verify that this is real, right? And I know sometimes, or I know the social media platforms right now do that. You can actually it's tagged within their system. The kind of the algorithm recognizes that AI was used for this, but it's going to get to the point where either we're not going to care that it's generated by AI, or number two, it's just going to be you're just going to you're going to become so desensitized to AI content where you're just not you're not going to really care. And so for the real creator that is producing genuine content, either we're going to start prioritizing that more as humans because we're going to want human interaction, just like the art space at the moment, right? The art space is very valuable, and there's a specific niche that do like to go out, purchase art by real artists rather than it generated or whatever, right? And this is the same case for any art within the art space, music, and all this other stuff. So there's going to become a point where how are you going to validate, or how are you going to know that it is legit, right? And it's just not AI slump. And obviously, as you can see, there's some creators or there's some avatars within the space that have blown up that are actually fake. And sometimes there's probably a lot of people that you're watching or scrolling, right? Just death scrolling, as they call it. And some of that stuff is fake. A lot of that stuff is fake. And we're not realizing that. And so we have yet to see the pros and cons of this fully play out. Something very new. Again, this is bigger than the .com era. This is massive, and it's drastically going to have an impact on society, yourself, your personal, everything. And so this is going to be very interesting. Number one, how this plays out. Number two, what do these big companies that are kind of facilitating this type of behavior, what are they going to do, right? And I doubt it's going to be, let's take off the AI content, all right? It's most likely, potentially, we'll see, but when you can spin up hundreds of variations, it becomes very crazy, and your feed is going to get polluted by this type of content. And again, we could just become jaded from it and not want to see it anymore, and so then the big platforms say, okay, let's pull it off. Or we just start consuming more of it, and more people make money from it, and so the big platforms actually incentivize that type of behavior, aka the era of the creator is dead. It's finished. There's no point. Okay? Or you're going to have a specific niche where, yes, you do like to watch, just like podcasts right now. Not too many people like to sit through a 3-hour podcast. So you're going to have a specific group that do like to enjoy real, authentic content. And that's kind of the push for the brand narrative, right? Right now, it's kind of like you can either step into AI or you can step into creating your own personal brand, because those two things are very unique and there is authenticity there, and it's basically verified, right? So your personal brand, you're kind of verifying yourself through the personal brand. And so you kind of have these two roads you can kind of go on. And I'm just interested to see how this plays out. It's something we've never seen before. So buckle up and we'll kind of walk through this together. That's AI Slop. And you're going to start seeing a whole ton of it. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Quick little conversation. And we'll go from there. Peace.